so it's been an exciting time. It's been busy, welcoming 31 new players to campus, and we have been hitting the ground running. So it's been a great start, and excited about the future.
Mark, can you go into some details about how you put this transfer class together and maybe what you did differently than previous years?
Well, I don't know about what would be different. I think the calendar was different. It was unique in that we got done with the last game of the season, and obviously we know the season did not go the way any of us wanted to. Certainly our players and our staff and myself. But since that day, truly the next morning, it feels like we have not stopped, and that's a good thing. It's an exciting time. So the calendar was different. It was unique in that the high school early signing period was so early. You weren't able to go in living rooms at that time, which was different, and we just really, it felt like we were bringing people in. I think we always, we're disappointed we broke that bowl streak, and we want to get back to that and sustain success and improvement and all those things. But it gave us an opportunity to really concentrate, dive in, and reboot this roster.
There was some talk, Vince filling on your coach's show about the previous transfer portal misses. What makes you confident that this group of transfer portal players can be what you need them to be?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair, question and assessment. I don't think ever, with the way we have worked this roster since I've been here, things change and evolve, obviously. And, the ability to select the right teammates, to select the players that fit your program is always important. And when you're hitting on the portal, it's vitally important, because you're hitting free agency, essentially, with 1 year guys are filling a player to hit a certain position, to come in and start and compete in this league and fit our culture and play at the level that you want to. It is difficult. I think we have to do a great job of selecting the right teammates, and you have to have the right resources, and it's funny still talking about that, but it is what it is, right? You have to have the resources, and I think as you have better resources, your selection can be better, and have the ability to get higher quality, and hopefully we did that. I feel very good. Let me just say that about the 31 guys that are in here and the 20 portal guys, I could not be more pleased. Obviously when they're coming in here during the recruiting process, very clear with them that we didn't meet our standards this past year. So basically, don't come into this program if you're not willing to do those things. Couldn't be more pleased with what they've done thus far, and just the attitude that they've had in the weight room, attacking the weight room, the first segment. We just had our first fourth quarter program where we're really pushing them mentally and physically, and really pleased with where we're at. And the 20 portal guys and the 11 high school guys have been a great addition. So it's a start, but it's a good start, and I feel very good about it. I feel like there's also, with your question, the ability to have more than just one answer, just put all of our eggs into one person. I feel like there's more depth at every position, and I think that was critical. It bit us a year ago, and that's my fault. We weren't deep enough at certain positions, so we're hanging our hat on specific people, and maybe they were injured, or maybe they failed to meet our expectation, and it didn't work out. So that's on us. That's on me.
Right after that Louisville game from a couple of your guys and a few other times about accountability and holding themselves more accountable in the weight room, things like that. Have you seen those strides, and how did you kind of read it besides?
Yeah, without question. And again, that is something that didn't meet our standards, and that's on me. And so we set that precedent, and right from the beginning, we've worked extremely hard. And we have to intentionally develop them, give them the tools, and define exactly very clearly what we expect of them, and we're doing that, working extremely hard in that area, all of us. I could go on and on. We only have 30 minutes here. I'm sorry, I was running 2 weeks. We just got off the field, so a little bit scrambling here this morning, trying to fit all this in for you. but there's so much, that we needed to look at as a staff and then define what we're looking for, to the players, to ourselves, to everything. And just kind of, we're always looking at those things, but really dive into that. And then teaching these players what we expect of them. And, we always want to be player-led and player-led in the accountability phase. And these guys are working at it. We've really dove into that. We always have Jason Cummings, overseeing some of that with myself and our staff, but really Dean Hood has taken it to another level with the player development and working with them and working with us and just making sure, he's spending a lot of time just on point on that messaging. And, and us just reinvesting with the players, spending tons of time with the players, getting to know each other. It's a new roster, so there's a lot to do.
Mark, it seems like in 2025, coaches do everything but coach nowadays. How nice has it been these last couple of weeks to just be out there on the field with your guys and working with them one-on-one?
Yeah, it's always good to get on the grass with the players and get on the field, and we're getting more and more with that. We had a lot to do in the weight room, still do, but we'll transition and get ready for spring practice. And I just like being around these players, and you love being around them, whether it's X's and O's, whether it's technique, motivating, whatever it is. Just getting to know these guys, it's been a lot of fun.
Specifically on the offensive line, like what were you looking for, and why did these guys check the boxes?
Well, these guys really stand out. If you look at them, they're grown men. They're in they're people that are have 2 and 3 degrees. They're people that are married. They're people that are very serious about what they're doing, and so I think they're just an impressive group. I think they check the boxes athletically, what we're looking for. We have great size again. We have depth that we haven't had in a few years. And, again, we just need to get it fixed. I could go back, I take responsibility, but it's like, let's get it fixed and move forward. And we have some bodies in there now. And we have some really good size, and we have quality people.
Is it a plan to have a spring game and all of you around the league or not?
Yeah, I want to do something. It's a little early. I think we're in really good shape, healthy right now and everything. I want to open it up and show you guys and show the fans and make sure you guys and the fans get access, whether it's a practice or a spring game, however we format it. I want to do something. I don't think we'll put it on TV. We haven't talked about it or anything, but I want to open it up to you and to our fans. And even if it's a practice, at least, a lot of times you could see more than a spring game. Again, understand with the spring game for football, if we split up 2 teams, you're diluting it, and it just doesn't always look as good as it can in the fall when we put them all on one team, right? So, if we go offense against defense, at least you get a good vision. You get to see the players play. So we'll do something.
Mark, for years we always heard about, coaches talk about the continuity in the offensive line and how important that is. Is that kind of out the door now with the transfer portal, or does it worry you about having maybe have 5 new starters in the offensive line?
I think I think sure, you have to take into consideration all that. And I think it is what it is. Some years, some teams are going to have greater transition than others at certain positions. And, offensive line is a fair point that you want to have great continuity. I think the good thing about these players is they've played a lot of football. And, for us, there's always going to be that balance of making sure we're feeding them, things that they can handle and make sure schematically we're doing what we do. We don't want to hold back. I mean, that's one thing nice about having the same offensive coordinator. For the second year, I haven't had that for a while. So, I think it's important to grow and to continue to grow. But I think that's, again, a fair question, a fair concern, and a fair point. But with these guys, they have a ton of football under their belt. And we get a little more time than we used to. We get to spend more time with them in the off season, now and through the summer than we used to. So hopefully we can overcome all that.
Mark, in recruitment, Zach Calzado, what was it about him that you all liked, and what has he shown you all?
Yeah, I think just the all his play, the experience. A 6th-year guy, a guy that's played a ton of football, that's won games in our league, that competed in our league, and did very well when he was in there. And I think to balance that with a guy like Cutter who's very young, you got Bo back, which gives us some experience as well. And so I feel good about that position. I think with Zach, what I like is the fact that I could put on film and see a ton of reps.
There
What about,
was a-
Mark, what about the freshman quarterbacks? What,
Yeah, I mean, to be determined, right? We'll see. I mean, I mean, look at them and what they did in high school. You know, I feel very good about them, but you know, and I know, I'm not gonna put all my eggs in an incoming freshman. You know, so.
There was a wide receiver who announced he intended to transfer here. I don't know what all you can comment on. He hasn't been on anything official, so are you optimistic that he's going to be able to join the team?
It is. I think, understand nationally, some guys are working through what gets approved by the NCAA for these extra years and what does not. I mean, you may know better than me, because, you know, some people get approved and others don't, and so, I don't know. I mean, that's, you know, what we're looking for.
How
Out of your hands, just kind of wait
Correct.
and see.
Correct.
How much more complicated did that JUCO ruling with Bobby at Vanderbilt make this transfer?
Well, I think just the shock of it, just, you know, what it changes the numbers all the time, you know, so, you know, adapt and deal with it, you know, but for certain players, it's like you would think it's a no-brainer for them to get the year if certain do, and I don't, you know, there's so much going on. That's just one piece of it.
Speaking of wide receivers, obviously a big hit in the transfer portal this offseason. What do you like about the group, and how do you feel about the numbers so far?
I feel very good about the group. I like their attitude. They're tough, they're experienced, and you know, they'll be a great addition. Guys were out there this morning, and I just like their experience and their toughness, and you know, I think it's a very good group.
Defensive line, you've got a couple of dudes who have played.
Yeah.
What do you like, you know, especially Houston and Graves?
Yeah, I think, you know, with David and McKees, both guys that, again, have great experience and, you know, played a lot of football and, you know, check the box for us athletically, what we're looking for. So two really good players. You look at us as a group up there, and I feel like, again, the depth is there. And, you know, so, you know, that really helps. Just, you know, you know, just look at us last spring. I don't feel like, you know, it was good enough for us to practice as physical as we need to. I think eventually you pay the price for that in a lot of different areas. And, you know, so I want to be able to, you know, just operate and practice. And, you know, again, it goes back to this time last year of not being deep enough and, you know, unfortunately getting some injuries, which is always going to happen. But, you know, you get enough injuries at one position and it sets back the team. Yeah, so I feel like I feel very confident in the depth that we have at that position, and again, a bunch of good attitudes, a bunch of good guys. I saw them out there this morning in this fourth quarter drill, where it could be very challenging mentally, and they're all really accepting the responsibility and the challenge and leading.
We saw the blue collar shirts in the weight room. How much of the work and how much is that as part of the off-season messaging is stressing the?
I think it's very important. You know, just, again, be very upfront with them, be very clear, define exactly what we're looking for, and hold them to those expectations, and them holding themselves to that, you know, to the standards that we set for them. And you know, they're doing that. And that's all we could do is attack each day. And, you know, that you could go back probably to my first press conference and I'm saying these same things, right? But that doesn't mean they're always going to happen, right? We know the concentration, the focus has to get back to making sure, you know, that we don't sacrifice in any of these areas. You know, it's a tough, you know, tough business we're in. It's a tough league. It's going to be a tough schedule. So the only thing we can manage is the day-to-day, you know, and attacking that day. And you know, I've talked about this before, like if you look at it as an entirety, there's so much to do, but that's good. That gives us a bunch of juice, a bunch of energy, that there's so much to do today, like truly, you know, and like attacking that day. And that's kind of the excitement around the building and with the players of like, let's be on tilt today. Like let's be 4th and 1 today, and you know, just really ramp up the intensity because there, you know, it can be overwhelming of what needs to be done. But let's just have that motivation day to day, and I feel it in the building.
Like Wiverly was your top target at center, which is obviously a huge and important position. I'm pretty sure his high school year was when Eric was here before. How does a guy like that grow from a point where maybe you didn't think he was an SEC player out of high school to what he's done now?
Well, we can say that about Marquise, we can say that about David, we can say, you can say that about so many guys. And they look across the country, I mean, look at other sports, look at basketball, look at football. I mean, that's just what we're in right now, right? You've seen it for years in the NFL, guys make it from, some Division II or Division III school, right? And they didn't have the ability to transfer. Now you have the ability to transfer. Football is such a developmental sport. All kids are, right? They're going to, some are just going to really grow and mature and grow into it. And you're seeing that across the country and in all sports. And, it's fun. It's exciting to be able to bring them in and watch them play.
No, he's local, and the
Yeah.
same way that Fred was.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
year, like,
Yeah.
those guys, it seems like a new route for them.
Yeah, it is. It's a new route, and it's exciting. It's exciting to bring them back and get another shot to not miss on them this time, right? I mean, it's going to happen, so we understand that it happens and excited for them.
Mark, what's some of the issues you guys had in short yard situations, just outside about Dante, who was so effective in that in Nebraska, and how do you think he'll kind of complement you, Marion, the different styles they have?
Yeah, I think, that's fair. Those are things that we've talked about in depth already, the situational, positions that we're in and the failure at certain areas. And, I think you have to look at everything, right? You have to look at personnel, you have to look at scheme, you have to look at everything that we did and get better at it. But, bringing Dante in with his size and the physical nature that he plays with and his ability is very exciting. I love his maturity and certainly that size.
Mark, you mentioned about having Bush being back for a second year. I'm sure last year, to some degree, he was trying to incorporate what he did, but also what was done before. Do you think the offense will be any different? Will it look any different now that it's his second year?
Yeah, I think certainly. For Bush, so if you go back, if we're going back for a moment, which I'm fine to do, I got to take those bullets for a while, right? then it's all forward. But I think I think part of it for him is like, even for myself, last year, like what can you do, right? And you learn maybe early on, okay, we're a little deficient in this or that, so.
Considering the personnel.
Exactly. And so I think we obviously need to grow and will grow in certain areas and look different in certain ways. That doesn't mean just total new scheme or anything like that. Let's get better at the core principles of what we do and who we are. And then, as you protect and, as you get back to maybe being balanced and run the ball and let's play action and, and drop back and all the things we want to do and be fun to watch. I mean, but you have to do the little things right or you're not going to do the fun and exciting things.
Backing off of that, this is probably the fewest tight ends you've had since you've been here. It's part of that, just different personnel, spreading it out a little bit more, playing a little bit more.
I think it is, and it's like, I think sometimes, with that position, are you going to feature 12 personnel? Are you going to be 11 personnel? And the balance of that and getting the guys to football enough and all those things, so it'll work its way out. I feel really good about the players that are here. Certainly Josh being around for a long time and being a long-time starter, and the emergence of Willie, he's a really good player. So just going to continue to find ways to get them the ball too. Keep them involved.
Mark, second or third year players that have really made a big jump since the season ended?
Yeah, let me hold off on that. I think that's a great question, but we really hadn't put the ball down and moved it yet, and so we'll see. We haven't gotten to that point with spring ball yet. I think I like the progress that a lot of people are making and just the total group right now. We'll see more.
Mark, how about the inside of linebacking depth? Are you where you need to be?
Yeah. I think that's one position that we could be a little thin, but we like the quality that we have. And again, I think those guys are going to make a big improvement. I felt like we played there, good there a year ago, and these guys need to step up. So we'll see. I think I think it's a fair question. Little thin.
Mark, how much were you able to talk to these guys about what the revenue sharing is gonna look like, given that we don't know for sure that the court case can improve and how that?
Yeah, we just worked off of what we knew we could do for a year. You know, I think all coaches would like to know, you know, and have our rosters pretty stable year to year. So that's what we were able to do. We will adapt. We're in position to operate on this year. We know the revenue share would kick in, you know, should the judge approve it. It would kick in July, but that's all part of their contracts that we had already negotiated with them.
Mark, you mentioned just working on with, you know, fourth down drill, whatever, mental toughness, all that, but you're also, spring last year, you know, injuries were a big deal. Like, how do you walk
Yeah.
that line about, you know, you got all these new faces, maybe you want to get physical, but you can't, so what do you foresee maybe spring looking like, maybe different than?
Well, a couple different points of emphasis there, which is a good point. You know, one of the things we looked at, and as we got together, if you go back, there's two different elements that you talked about there. If you look at just philosophically what we're doing, you know, we have to protect our players. And I had a long talk with our strength and conditioning team back in December, and then once again in January, you know, prior to the players' arrival, that I'm asking a lot of them, you know, because they do a remarkable job. But, you know, there's areas where I want to improve, you know, and you know, physically. That part of that is on us to recruit the right players, right? To give them the right bodies to work with that can handle things. But, you know, our group does an amazing job. Our strength and conditioning team always, you know, they have my full confidence and they do a great job in a lot of areas, but I ask them to push it a little bit, and so continue to do the things that they do with strength and conditioning. They do mobility. They do a remarkable job of injury prevention, and just, you know, they're the experts in that area. However, there was areas where I wanted to improve, and so I've asked a lot of them. Now we come back to the next phase where we start working with them in the fourth quarter drills and pushing them and change of direction, and so they have to be able to withstand that. There's going to be some soft tissue things that happen. There's going to be some you know, injuries that happen. And then with spring ball, the next phase of it, your question, you know, we're going to get back to being who we are, you know, and we're going to be fundamentally good and tough and play the game the right way, and we're going to be physical. It starts there. If you don't have those things, you have no chance. You could go back to my day one press conference. I said some form of that, right? And that's the truth. Do we want all the other things? Of course. You know, you have to be to win, you know, with the schedule that we have. And so, but, you know, we have enough bodies to be able to function and to be physical.
I don't believe we spoke to you since LaDamian was hired. So what was it about him that you liked, and what have you seen
Yeah,
so far?
LaDamian, I really love his energy. You know, I love his juice and his energy in recruiting. He was on top of everything. He knew every wide out in the portal. He knew every wide out, you know, throughout the country. You know, recruiting them like he just knew of them, or, you know, and just had a really good, you know, energy about him. So I like the way he works, and fundamentally just everything. I'm excited about him.
My question on leadership is, in previous years, guys would, from the portal, they wouldn't want to come in and step on a lot of toes, but offensively, there's just not, I mean, there's not many toes to step on because how many people are there. So is that going to change? Is that different? Have you seen those old guys just come in and be the old guys?
Well, you know, I brought in guys that are very mature, right? So I don't think anybody, this group, is worried about stepping on anybody's toes, you know, and so I think, again, very fair, valid question, you know, when you have some alphas in the room, you know, and so again, I don't mean to put down anything or anybody in the past or just general statement. It's like we're the way things are right now, you're kind of starting fresh. You know, when these players come back in January, you're starting, you know, from ground zero. And so, you know, I need the leaders to lead. And we have guys with great experience. And so I feel very good about that. And I didn't do a good enough job of teaching, you know, and bringing out the leadership that I needed to a year ago. You know, so we're not going to miss in that area either.
Mark, you got Shiaz.
Two more, yeah.
You got Shiaz like right under the wire at the beginning of
Yes.
the semester. How important was it to get him in?
Yeah.
What do you see as
Shiaz is a guy that, yeah, I'm still gonna have a conversation and break his arm one day or something and work on, it's gonna take 2 or 3 people to help me. Yeah, he stressed us. He was stressing me to beyond the deadline, so he applied the last day that needed the application in, and then we finalized it on the Sunday. So he applied on Friday, and I think we finalized it on Saturday or Sunday. So it was down to the wire, to say the least. So Shiaz is a deep thinker, as you'll get to know him. Really remarkable young man. It's been through an awful lot, and just he's a great success story. And he's definitely thinks things through. And you guys get an opportunity to visit with some guys right now, but just an impressive person. I think he measured in at like 6'8" and a quarter, and can really move, and very athletic, and so it was really good get right at the end there.
Mark, you've been doing this for a while now. You're an established D1 coach, and for the last few years, you've warned us about rule changes and things like that. And now you and your peers have to do business so differently. Are you still enjoying this as much as you always have?
I enjoy it right now as much as I ever have, and I think it would be, maybe I shouldn't say it was good. It is what it is, right? Last year it was, it was not what I wanted. It was not what anybody wanted. That falls squarely on me, and I know people, you get tired of, there's a lot of things that you have to adapt to, and and one way or another it ties back directly to me. And but it is a big organization, it's a big department, and there's a lot of areas that we have to all adapt to, and do it at a high level. And so with that being said, with the situation the way it was, I could not be more energized and focused and determined to get this thing back and to keep growing the program like we once did, as good as anybody, with the sustained success that we had for a long period of time. That is hard to do in our league, and we're highly motivated to get back on track and to get going. And I think there's great energy and great juice in our building. I like the focus and the energy of our staff. I think we had to be very strategic in defining exactly what we want to do, and and then teaching that to the players and having them, I like the way they've accepted that, the way they've accepted the coaching. They understand very clearly what's expected of them. They're working very hard, and it feels very good. Nobody likes the year that we had, but I like where we're at right now, and we're aiming to push forward and aim for the future. And it's fun coming in early in the spring and attacking the day and getting around these players and getting them better.